hearing from the National Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress, Sami Chemfi, addressed the press on a number of issues relating to the matters on illegal mining. Of course, the NDC there making some fresh demands for a probe into the complaints raised by the former chair of the Interministerial Committee on illegal mining, Professor Frimpong Boateng. Of course, a number of concerns being raised there by Sami Chemfi and also making some accusations. Just this afternoon as well, a member of Parliament, Roxanne Nelson Dapiamepo, made some calls on the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice to also investigate some allegations of corruption as contained in the leaked document authored by the former chair of the Interministerial Committee. Well, the report actually names some top government officials facilitating or actively engaging in illegal mining. The Office of the President has described the document as a catalogue of personal grievances and without facts. However, the Member of Parliament for South Dine, who is also a member of the NDC, believes that the content of the document and not mere allegations, is asking CHRAJ to probe some of these allegations. We'll get to the concerns of the NDC shortly, but first, my colleague Michael Nieshali has been engaging this Member of Parliament a couple of hours ahead of this press briefing by Sami Chemfi. And of course, Michael is joining us with more on this. Michael, what's contained in this document that the South Dine MP is submitting to CHRAJ as we speak? Michael Ashalevio with us. I'm asking that what's contained in this document submitted by the Member of Parliament for South Dine.
Yes, so Blessed, the document, the petition has been submitted to CHRAJ. I was there in the afternoon, so this was around 12:40 today. It was received by the Commissioner himself, Mr. Wetao. Yeah, so if you would indulge me, though, I can take you through bits and pieces of some of the things that they said in that particular statement. So if you go to statement number 12, for instance, it talks about, says that was subsequent to the publication of the report mentioned above, our client informs us that Charles Bisu granted an interview on one of us on a sister station, in which he alleged that Prof. Kwabena Frimpong Boateng was himself engaged in illegal mining, popularly known as Ganamse, whilst he was the chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, and had given out the supposed missing 500 excavators to people to work with, and attaches that particular interview to the petition as well. It goes on to say a number of things. Effectively, what they are asking is to escalate this investigation to go beyond just the people that have been mentioned in the report, but also to include the author of the report, which is the former chair of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, which is
interesting. So what you're pointing out to us now is that the NDC is not just asking for a probe when it comes to the number of individuals named in this document by Professor Frimpong Boateng, but what you're indicating to us now is that we're likely to see Professor Frimpong Boateng himself also summoned by the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. What's the basis for making that demand from the MP?
Well, so first of all, if you go by what is in the statement, it clearly says that, well, you hear the secretary to the committee at the time that Professor Frimpong Boateng was the chairman, the secretary to which is Charles Bisu, now making these allegations against the chairman. So they want to definitely hear the story of that. But talking to the lawyer who represented the Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo, he mentions that, well, if in the event, and he uses the word a public hearing, if you have a public hearing, it gives room for the chairman himself, the space, and it's again, in terms of safety, to give us some more evidence as to some of the claims that he made in that report. You already heard from the presidency describing this as a catalogue of personal grievances. So you can listen to the lawyer here, that is lawyer someone Ado, who spoke for the Member of Parliament.
We'll get that shortly. But I understand you've also been engaging the Member of Parliament himself, Roxanne Nelson Dapiamakpo. What's been his position on this matter?
So, we've been trying to reach out to him. What the lawyer told us, first of all, was that he has an emergency, the reason for which he couldn't be at the commission himself. So, again, I've sent him quite a number of messages. He's told us he's interested in talking, but he wants to finish with his emergency, and then he'll give us the details of that. So subsequently, when we have that, we'll definitely bring it to you.
Indeed, Michael Ashale there. And now we can listen to lawyers speaking on behalf of this South Dying NDC Member of Parliament who's been laying the petition before CHRAJ.
So just a few minutes to 1 p.m., lawyers for South Dai MP, Dapiamakpo, came to CHRAJ to present a petition here. I have the lawyer here. Let me ask him just a few questions that have come out of it. So we have seen the reports that you have made reference to, that you are trying to petition CHRAJ to look through. Correct. But from what we have seen from the presidency in itself, the presidency says this, at best, this is a catalogue of personal grievances. I mean, why do you think there's substance in this report for which you are petitioning CHRAJ?
And this is even why it is even a perfect time for us to come to CHRAJ, because clearly the president has given a signal that he's not interested in the report. We think that as a former minister of environment, he's a man of stature. Professor Boate is not just any ordinary person. And the allegations he makes are not bare allegations. These are allegations that he has supported with facts, letters. And in fact, in his other two responses he made, he added more facts, more letters. And so this is somebody that we believe, given the proper forum, independent forum, where he knows he has no fear for his life and he knows he will be protected, which CHRAJ has the mandate to do, I'm sure he will even give us more. We cannot brush this under the carpet. Unfortunately, we cannot agree with the president that this is something that can be brushed under the carpet. We refuse to brush it under the carpet because this is not an issue that is simply one for us to just take for granted. This is not one of the things that you, as they say, he can clear. This is a matter that borders on life and death. This is a matter that touches our water bodies. This is a matter that touches on the economic rights of the people that are in those areas affected. Farming, for example. All those areas are complaining about farming issues. The fact that their farming and cash crops are being destroyed. The pollution of the soil, the pollution of the water bodies. These are human rights matters. And so I'm sorry. But if the president thinks that this is hearsay, we disagree with him. That is why we've come to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and we expect to get justice.
Again, you haven't spoken to the part about whether you think it has substance. The presidency again says that
obviously,
there's no evidence in it that substantiates some of the allegations he made.
It is not for the president to make that determination. He has looked at the report and he says that, in his opinion, he doesn't see any merit in it, and that he talked about issues of transmission of the report and how the report should have been. We don't care about that. We care about the substance in the allegations. There are serious allegations, and we believe that the CHRAJ will bear it out. We have no personal grievance against anybody, but the point is this: the Honorable Member of Parliament has oversight responsibility. He has seen the report. He believes that the report contains enough basis for investigations. And luckily, the architecture of our constitution has made it clear that when it comes to allegations of corruption, abuse of public office, and human rights violations, it is not the presidency that we go to. It's a CHRAJ that we come to. And that is why we are here.
Now, how soon do you expect something meaningful to come out of this petition?
Soon. We have an acknowledgement letter we expect from the CHRAJ tomorrow. We intend to be here every week. And so every week you will find me here, following up, asking questions, because we expect public hearings to begin. All we have is to meet the threshold of have enough to be able to investigate it. Once CHRAJ begins to write to us and deal with the matters, we will make this a public issue. This matter is not going to go away. If anybody for any moment thinks that this matter is going to go away, it's a lie. You and I have a responsibility. Imagine you wake up one day, you cannot find drinking water. How would it be for you? We cannot all afford to buy water. We all cannot afford to have our soils destroyed. We all cannot afford to fly out whenever we are hungry, or whenever we need water, whenever we need medical attention. Ghana is all that we have, and so we have a responsibility to protect it. Not just for us, for the future generations as well.
But one who asks, what is the interest of your client? This is something that we've heard from Ato forcing from Parliament that is going to go to Parliament. So what's the personal interest of your client?
The parliamentary group has Parliament. If Parliament also wants to exercise oversight, so be it. But CHRAJ is to deal with accusations of corruption. Even Parliament does not have the mandate to deal with corruption. So clearly, if you have allegations of corruption, abuse of public office, and human rights violations, even Parliament cannot deal with human rights violations. CHRAJ is the place. And the matters that have been mentioned deal with these specific issues. The right to life, the right to economic rights, the right to have water, the issues of corruption, allegations of abuse of public office. These are not matters that you can go to the presidency or to Parliament. The president says he's not interested. Those are his words. So clearly we have to move on.
So again, how wide should the scope be for CHRAJ? We've had the report mention both NDC and NPP members within this particular document.
Why should anybody be concerned about political colorations? CHRAJ is not interested in political coloration. CHRAJ is interested in its mandate, which is to protect you and I as Ghanaians. So let the axe fall where it may. What is important is we need to bring an end to this particular menace. And if this is the only way we can do it, let's name and shame those people.
Okay. Let me thank you very much. So that's lawyer Nikpa Ado. He is representing MP for South Dai. That is Roxanne Nelson Dafia Mekpo, and they just a few minutes ago submitted a petition to CHRAJ to look into some of the allegations, if so you want to call it, that was presented by the former chairperson of the Interministerial Committee for Illegal Mining. Well, they want this to proceed smoothly. Also, investigation should start as soon as possible. They promise that they'll be here every single day, or at least every week, once a week, to check on the progress of the petition. We'll bring you some more reports when we have it. For Joy News, Michael Ashali.
Michael Ashali there with the latest on this. I want to bring in now Deputy National Organizer for the Opposition National Democratic Congress, because as we speak, that press conference is still underway, being led by the National Communications Officer for the party, Sami Jemfi, from, of course, the NDC headquarters. Then there is this NDC MP who's going to CHRAJ, asking CHRAJ to intervene. We know, and yesterday through my interaction with the Deputy Minority Leader, that some remedial measures will be sought after in Parliament as well. So what's the NDC seeking to achieve out of this? Elikem, thanks for your time here on The Pulse. You're playing politics with this, isn't it?
Afternoon to your cherished viewers. I do not think the NDC intends playing any politics with this matter at all, because the matters, the issues at stake, it's of national interest. I mean, if there's galamsey ongoing and the president is a direct beneficiary of it and his family, etc., it is a threat to aquatic life, to our farmlands, to a threat to human beings, etc. But before
but just on that point, you don't have evidence as of now as a political party to claim that the president is a direct beneficiary of activities of illegal mining. We need to be fair to him, isn't it?
I mean, the fairness is the reason why we believe he is a direct beneficiary, or else he would come out clearly to actually be even very interested in this matter. If all the people are surrounding him are benefiting from this, what makes you think that he will not? But then let me comment your own Erastus Asare Donko, who did a very vigorous work on this whole galamsey stuff, and one gentleman, Kevin Taylor of Loud Silence Media, for also bringing this document out, which hitherto was almost like under wraps. And it is very sad, to say the least, that, Bless, you will have the presidency or government trying to tell us that this is not an official document, etc., but they are responding to it one way or the other. And this is coming from no less a person than Frimpong Boateng. Pardon me, but Frimpong Boateng is a man of stature. He's not like, let's say, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, who rose to fame through the media space for a year or two. Frimpong Boateng is a known surgeon who will not compromise. And so go out there and ask on the streets if Ghanaians will take Frimpong Boateng serious, or the responses that the various people, appointees, are making. And very significant names have been mentioned in that report. The fact that this report has been out since March of 2021, and they kept it under wraps and didn't want to express any interest in it, that alone is very telling. It is most unfortunate that in the midst of all what we're talking about, even the president's own backyard is not safe. But he doesn't seem concerned. I am so sorry to say this because as a young man, I feel our president thinks that all things being equal, he's in the extra time of his life, and therefore he doesn't care. But that is so sad because he once told us that he's a president who cares about the next generation and not the next elections. But the opposite is the case now. And it is not the NDC playing politics with this. I am sure you in the media space are also very concerned because this has a lot of dire consequences for us as a country. And it is becoming also more worrying that at the very heart of any corrupt dealings, etc., the president's name easily pops up as though he's the first president of Ghana who has to be suffering this. But in Ghana's history, this is becoming so embarrassing, and you don't expect anybody within the government to accept responsibility.
Okay.
Or
the argument from the presidency when this whole report came up was that Professor Frimpong Boateng, as of now, has not adduced a single piece of evidence to back his claim. Is the NDC now in possession of at least some videotapes, documents to support what it is that the professor is laying claims to?
We don't want to be going around in circles. It's like putting somebody in a circle and asking him to urinate in the corner when there's no corner there. Professor Frimpong Boateng, in that 13 of how many pages, I've forgotten, adduced enough evidence with that as well. He added documents, he added letters, he added pictures, etc. And you see how he has even responded to the likes of Gabio Tredako and Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, who I am told is busily deleting some of his tweets and posts on social media immediately. I mean, it is so sickening. And you see, if the very appointor, the president, who takes ultimate responsibility, is telling you and myself that he is not interested and will not even want to investigate the matter as grievous as this one, it tells you it's already been dumped into the dustbin. And so you and myself must still continue to speak on this. And it is good that we are revisiting this matter. Our water bodies have all been totally destroyed. Meanwhile, we spend millions of cedis, if not dollars, in the name of buying drones and doing what have you to restore the water quality, etc. Absolutely nothing has been done. And we are only reading reports that gold has been sent somewhere else. This is the quantum of gold that has left the shores of Ghana at this point in time. Meanwhile, the records showed something different. And it is so sickening. It is so sad. And you and myself, that I know we are in the same age bracket, should be very worried about this.
Are you admitting the fact as a political party that this problem goes beyond the tenure of President Akufo-Addo?
I would not say so. I can tell that you have evidence yourself that showed, as of February 2016, how clean our water bodies were.
Yeah, I'm not. No, Elikem, that's not the import of my question. I'm not asking about how clean our water bodies are. The issue about Galamsey and the topic itself goes beyond the tenure of President Akufo-Addo. You agree, as a political party?
Yes, it sure does. It sure does. And you see, it's because President Nana Addo cannot bite the bullet. And he's appointed family and friends to very sensitive positions where it makes it very difficult for him. So he's got his own hands very clipped. If you have a finance minister who is not ready to resign, even if he's the worst and non-performing, and you have your nephew who is becoming loyal to people who are complicit or in matters of this nature, what can you do? You would only have to hold your hands back and allow yourself to be called a mother serpent of corruption, which indeed is a true definition of the president we have today. It truly goes beyond political coloration, but as a matter of fact, what we are seeing now, call it state capture, call it a grand theft or haste, it is thriving under the regime of President Akufo-Addo. All manner of persons who are linked and associated to the MPP have embarked on Galamsey on an industrial scale. And it's a great worry. To even think that President Akufo-Addo happens to be a co-chair to the UN SDGs is an insult to that position. And I think the UN should even reconsider that appointment.
What I see now is that entities, in fact, as a political party as well, you've disclosed what you intend to do. And there's one leg of it where the minority leader is indicating that he may be heading to trigger this on the floor of Parliament. Then we have Roxanne Nelson Dapiamapo also heading to CHRAJ over this. You as a political party, you are equally asking for, say, a bipartisan probe into this. Where are you laying your emphasis as a political party? Because it appears the energies are dispersed on this matter.
We on two folds. In terms of the report itself by Professor Frimpong Boateng, and then also the gold mafia. The Al Jazeera investigative piece that we all saw, in which the gentleman at the center of all said the president was even his friend. This is how our president has become friends to almost everybody who is engaged in any crook deal, and this is how we're suffering for it. And it is so sad that at the very heart of all of this is a country that is struggling to survive. As we speak, our international reserves are almost empty, according to the IMF. But individuals are making money that is enough to even support this whole economy, and they are only related to one regime.
So now, Professor Frimpong Boateng himself insisting and standing by some of the issues that is raised, but there are counter-accusations as well. For instance, we've heard from Charles Bisu point out that even the associates of the professor himself and some very close persons to him are engaged in activities of illegal mining. Why are you being flippant about that?
My good friend Charles Bisu should be happy that he still finds his voice at the mention of Galamsey, etc. We all know very well the Anas expose and where his position got to. So I do not think that we would want to take lessons from the likes of Charles Bisu. He has got a very dented image himself as well to deal with at the moment. And so I don't think that it is a matter for us to look into. Why is he waiting until this time before he wants to now give out some talks from Frimpong Boateng? The Ghanaian out there on the street listening and watching you and myself today would prefer to listen to Frimpong Boateng than to listen to Charles Bisu.
So what you mean to say is that we let go of Professor Frimpong Boateng, who was then chairperson of this interministerial committee, you see?
You see, when there's a bipartisan probe into this, it will unveil a lot. If Professor Frimpong Boateng is also involved, definitely the investigations will reveal that as well. And this should be known truth to everybody. And so it also tells you that Frimpong Boateng is ready to subject himself to any probe should there be. And I think being a surgeon, he is very thorough with what he does and has been very careful with it. So I know he knows what he's talking about. And that is the reason why we would take all avenues available to make sure that this matter is looked into. It is not only about the NPP and the NDC. This is the NPP destroying Mother Ghana. And we should all be concerned about it, especially the young ones like myself and you.
But, of course, what's lacking in all of this criticism from the NDC is that there's absolutely no policy alternative. It's clear now that the issue of illegal mining will feature in the 2024 elections in terms of Ghanaians demanding strict policy measures. Why is the NDC failing to put out its plan on what you intend to do, or perhaps what any government ideally should do to tackle the problem?
It will be wrong to say there's no policy statement from the NDC. We have been in power. And that was why I gave you the example of February 2016, when there was this video documentary that showed how clean our water bodies were. It was because we actually put in good measures that were to avoid such occurrences. And when I'm talking of this, I mean that you recall when this government told us that they're putting all the small-scale miners together, training them to do what have you. Monies were spent. They said they bought drones and all that. We can't see the effect of all of that. But we as a party are saying that, look, President Mahama said so even in our last manifesto, campaign 2020. There's an appropriate way to make sure that you create proper awareness, you group them together so that they come together and embark on legal community mining.
Yeah, but government, I mean, to be fair, government is currently running a regime for a community mining scheme. So what's different about the NDC's position on this?
You don't need to say that government is embarking on any community mining. This is just rhetoric. Go out there. They have taken over concessions themselves and are embarking on that. It is only appearing on paper that we have community miners, etc. But it's not happening there on the field. That is the reason we are seeing what we are seeing today. Is there any water body that has been reclaimed so far? It would have been evident enough that indeed this government is walking the talk. So it is not walking the talk. That is why we are where we are, Bless.
The issue about the political class, and it appears that even in the document, Professor Boateng is even pointing out to some members within the NDC who may have also been one way or the other complicit when it comes to activities of illegal mining. Why are you not looking inwards as well and giving out your own persons who are affiliated to the NDC who may equally be engaged in illegal mining?
The very way we publicly condemn this illegal mining and the destructive nature and the impact it's bringing onto our country, we expect that if there's anybody who is within the NDC associated to this kind of madness, the person be brought out. Name and shame, and let's make sure that the law deals with whoever is involved in this, because it is, like I keep saying, this is not a battle or political rhetoric between the NDC and the NPP. It is a matter of national security. And so even if any person within the NDC, I haven't had any, I must be very frank with you, but if anybody within the NDC has been mentioned as well too, it is a reason we have actually called for a bipartisan probe, so that anybody who is found to be guilty or culpable will be dealt with according to law. But as it stands, it appears that there's a ring. The president, his vice president, his nephew, family and friends, and at his own backyard, Galamsey is ongoing. You know, at the mention of the likes of Captain Koda, another media guy said Mante, and all of this, these are names that keeps on ringing every now and then, and you ask yourself, why always Captain Koda? Why always Dr. Mahmoud Baumia? Why always President Akufo-Addo? Why must it always be Gabi Oshedako? These are the people who are...
I need to state at this point that the names you're mentioning, you bear personal responsibility if they decide to take you on in court. I'm not part of this, your claims.
I will bear full responsibility for that. These are names that have been mentioned in the report which I am citing. So my reference point is Professor Frimpong Boateng's document, which they said is not official, yet they are entitled to be responding to it. I don't know in what capacity they are even responding to it at. Are they also responding to it as official or as unofficial? A document that they do not value, but they have time to be responding to it one after the other. Very pathetic.
I'm looking at the way forward. You are asking, for instance, the president to immediately act on these concerns. If the president fails to act, what's likely to happen? What are we to expect from the NDC?
As a political party, we would actually converge to decide what next actions to take. And the fact that we have a very good relation with you, the media, who also appreciates the damaging effects of what is going on and are not happy with it, you will be one of our first point of calls if we have to disseminate some further information to the public and to get all involved and aware of what is happening.
And so, finally, your appeal to the president?
We all know that the president has been very arrogant, very disrespectful to Ghanaians. He doesn't listen. He doesn't walk the talk. He has actually portrayed himself in evidence of what Martin Amidou said, that he's a mother serpent of corruption. But we pray that he stops being an enabler to such actions and begin to act for once to save Mother Ghana. Okay. And especially the fact that he is also co-chair to the UN SDGs. I mean, that is very baffling.
Anyway, Alikem, we'll leave it here for now. Alikem Kotoko is the Deputy National Youth Organizer.